Welcome to Cribs and Guitars, welcome to the 90-hour build. I am actually properly excited. I've just made two decisions, the first of which you are going to see imminently. I went downstairs and I found this chunk of summer-killing rosewood of awesomeness. It's actually been drying for so long it doesn't smell of anything, but anyway, what can you do? Ooh, did you hear that? Did you? I'm not sure if I actually am strong enough to hold that up. Crikey. Anyway, it sounds good, and it is large and it is chunky, and I am going to be cutting it up and making a multi-laminate neck for this guitar. It's going to be a multi-laminate neck with curves in it. And I'm actually going to be jointing, well, here's the original neck, the failure. And I'm going to make a blank that will then be book matched. The end result will be a section of maple through the middle, and which will probably actually also be curved, although I'm not too sure about that. Then a piece of rosewood with a curve in the joint, rosewood going up like that. No, maple, then rosewood. I should just draw it for you, but I'm not gonna. Because I want to stop talking and just get moving. So anyway, I've found the rosewood, and the plan is that I'm gonna go and process down this neck blank, plane off a lot of the excess, and basically turn it into a fretboard blank. There are several things that I need to consider. One, if I was to just chop the neck off where it currently is, the fretboard wouldn't be long enough because I've got the curves from the end of the neck there, or yes, the end of the neck there. So I actually need to move it a fraction that way, which means I'm probably gonna have to bind the guitar. Well, it means I'm gonna make it a little bit more narrow, and therefore I will have to do some binding on the fretboard, which is fine. I think I have an awesome idea for the inlay. Awesome. We'll come to that later. So what I'm going to do right now is take you, i.e. the camera, and we're going to go down and plane off some excess and basically machine this down into a fretboard blank. I'm going to plane the front off, so we're going to get rid of the carbon fiber and all of that, and the current truss rod channel. And then once that is done, I will bandsaw off as much of the headstock as I possibly can to use as veneers. I'm leaving it on there to give me something to hold on to really when I'm planing. And that will then be the headstock veneers, front and back, probably, depending on how it looks. And we'll end up with a fretboard blank. It looks thin, but it is actually 7mm, which is fine. The internal section where the truss rod was, so the bottom of the truss rod was here, that is now going to be the inside of the fretboard. And because the back, when I roughed out the shape of the neck, it cut at a slight angle, which wasn't an issue. I had loads of spare material, but at this point, if I'd gotten rid of all of that, it would be 6mm and just a little bit too thin. I'm then going to make a custom box and flood the fretboard with resin in a vacuum and leave it for a while under vacuum to get rid of all the air. And this is going to solidify the blank, and it will be strong enough to be used as a fretboard and will also be absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to use the existing structure. So essentially, if I close that, I'll chop this off a little bit there, close it around, screw it down to this as a base, and we're done. Quick and easy. To the bandsaw Jeeves. Okay, so we're going to make this just big enough for the fretboard so that, well, essentially it's we don't waste too much resin. Tape. Tape is required. This is not a tape, this is a drill. Very nice drill. It's got a battery checker on the arse. I really like that. I only noticed that after I'd had it for about a month, so I am not particularly observant. Okay. Well, that's good. I need to put something. Well, basically, I need to make sure that this doesn't float up out of the resin when we flood it. So I'm going to. There we go. Just have a couple of pieces of wood that will rotate over. So yeah, I need some slightly longer screws then. It's a good thing I have. Well, unlike everybody else on the planet, I'm assuming you also have a random screw drawer, or box at the very least. Anyway, let's put it back. So that'll just go over there. Before I do that though, I'm going to get some packing tape and basically waterproof the cavity. Actually, I've changed my mind slightly. I am going to make sure that the fretboard doesn't float up in the vacuum and all that jazz, and I'm going to do that by just super gluing a couple of them in place with a little bit of packing material underneath so that the fretboard is held in place, and then I can just knock those off and we'll be fine. Gosh, that is pretty. I don't know what that voice was. Forgive me. Did I say packing? I lied. I am just going to notch out. Actually, this is the way it's supposed to be done. There is no excuse not to use your vices, especially when you have 4 or 5 on just one of your work benches. That's better. So I'm just going to spot glue that to the wood there and we'll be sorted. Okay, so the fretboard is trapped and well, it's time for lunch and then resin. Let's do it. But what I have here is a 10mm thick piece of Perspex with some sides that fit over the fretboard. Now, the reason for this is, 1, I don't want glue getting all over my vacuum bag. 2, as the resin is pulled out of the wood, it tends to bubble up and just go all over the place. So we want something to keep it in, but also let air through. This is an old jig that I had. It's got a couple of holes in it and it'll be fine. And of course the edges are not airtight. It's also going to stop the bag from going into any particularly large cavities. To that end, the Japanese saw rasp of amazing usefulness and You know what I mean. I love this thing. I'm just going to round the edges over so that there's no, well, there is less likelihood of actually puncturing the bag. And then it's a case of mixing and going. All right, I have some resin. Actually, that's quite heavy. Hold on, wrong way around. Some resin. And this is a 48-hour cure. I mean, it's got an 8-hour pot life, so this stuff lasts a long time, and in the vacuum it's going to penetrate as much as possible under vacuum for an hour or so, and then I'll take it out and just let it cure over a couple of days. I have wanted to do this for a long time. All right, now because these containers are a bit of a nightmare, I have some syringes with which I'm going to measure it out. Whatever resin you choose, make sure that you know absolutely what the ratios are. This one is 100 to 45. Why they couldn't have just said, hey, 1 to 2. But anyway, I have a little plastic container. I have some scales. I'm going to zero them out and then decant as ordered. "100 resin, 45 hardener." So I'm going to go 50 and 22.5. Okay, when you think you've mixed something like this enough, you're only halfway there. Okay, I will then carry that mixed pot downstairs and we'll put it all in the vacuum bag. That's in place. That's all bubbles of resin coming through. I'm going to take this out of the vacuum pump in about an hour, hour and a half, say, and I'm going to let it cure then for 24 hours before I do anything else. So the next time you see this fretboard, it will be cured, or it's entirely possible that I completely messed up and put too much hardener, or, you know, can you imagine if I swapped the hardener and the resin? Yeah, that would not be fun times, not at all. We've been playing with vacuum and epoxy. This looks insane. I am 100% totally excited. And despite all the pain and tears and heartbreak of having to destroy a neck, this is going to look amazing. Okay, so there have been some questions. Would it not have been better to wait until I had radiused the fretboard before putting it into the resin? Yes, potentially. I am hoping, and the whole point of the resin is that it infuses all the way through. I don't know, though, whether that has happened in this case. It depends on how porous the wood is, how strong the vacuum is, etc. It has in the past for us. There might be an uneven finish when I radius this. Now, if that is the case, it's simple. I put it back in this, put it back in the vacuum, and we go again. However, it should be an even finish, and that's where we are at today. I'm going to take this whole thing apart and see what happens to my fretboard. So my tape sort of did its job, except where these two pieces were. Let's get a sharp chisel. Oh yes. Okay, so you can see that the epoxy, well, it looks like the epoxy's gone all the way through. I cannot get over how gorgeous this is. An alternative would be hand planing like crazy, but I don't want to do that to my hand planes. This is hard stuff. So I'm going to get the outside film off on the sanded thickness that I have downstairs. Doing this at home in a home workshop without one of those fantastic machines, I would plane. I would, yeah, just know that I'm going to blunt my plane a little bit faster than I normally would, or potentially use leveling beams or something like that. It has gone all the way through. So that's today's video. Enough talking, Ben. I don't know why I keep on wanting to, I'm not even a sporty type person.